All right, Dr. Chijoke Ikechukwu is the Managing Director, CEO, Dignity Finance and Investment Limited. He joins me to speak around some of our economic moves and where we are. Good afternoon, Doc. It's good to see you.
Good afternoon, Cholo. My pleasure.
Yes, I think we should start with this report that we just heard talking about Nigeria and UK relationship. And we also see that even with the visit of the president from from Germany, they are all saying the same thing, that these reforms are necessary and all of that. How would you react to this and how this can help us further attract investment?
In the long run, the reforms are actually going to help our economy. The reason why Nigerians are complaining about the reforms is the fact that it is obviously creating some difficulties and hardship around the citizens of Nigeria. Otherwise, when we take every aspect of the reform one after the other, you see that they are meant to grow our economy in the long run. But the short-run effects are the reasons why Nigerians are complaining. Otherwise, I agree with all of them that this is the right decision to take, and it will help the economy going forward.
Well, let's break it down and look at this impact. The impact is what everyone is talking about. How do we cushion the impact?
Okay, so you see that what has happened is the fact that Nigerians are suffering from high level of inflation rates. Prices of goods and services have been very high, and we know the drivers of these high prices. We have seen the petroleum product pricing. We have also seen the exchange rate and many other things that are actually the reason for this. So if we take some of them, one of them, each of them one after the other. If we're talking about petroleum pricing, this is that which we can actually gradually reduce in order for Nigerians to start having a sigh of relief. And we are also going to achieve that by making sure that since this product is ours, petroleum products are ours. So what we have to do is also say, for the local consumption, we can actually release to the refineries at a particular price lower than the international pricing. And that way we will have the supply coming to Nigerians at a lower price. So if we do this, we'll continue to make sure that all our refineries are producing. And so between the private refinery and the government refinery, they will all be in competition. You see that prices on their own will start going down. And if we decide that we give them certain portions for local pricing purposes, that is just one efficient way to reduce the price. Talking about talking about the exchange rate, you see that we need to be deliberate about making sure our export sector grows. We need to give all the incentives that are necessary to grow the export business of Nigeria. If we do that, there are a lot of things we can actually do to get money, more revenue and more funding for the government. You know, we haven't really tapped enough of our gas sector. We've been talking about petroleum products, but the gas sector is that where we're still flaring. But of course, gradually, we're beginning to have good revenue coming from that area. We also have to have our solid mineral revenue sector not being optimal, not producing optimally and not giving us the kind of desired revenue. If we decide to deal with these sectors that are supposed to generate us more revenue, you see that we'll gradually reduce the pressure on the existing revenue sources, which is petroleum product and some other sources that we have. So we have to also work on those things that are increasing the prices of goods and services. One of it is actually the insecurity, which we have to continue to deal with. So these are things we have to do. Of course, the roads, the infrastructure we have, the roads and the storage system of agricultural produce are those things that we have to continue to work on in order for us to continue to have supply every part of the year all around. So these are the things we have to do for now and the future.
Well, it's talking about food, and that was the next point I was going to talk about food inflation and how we can begin to address it. Because many will tell you that we passed the harvest season. Now it's not looking like we're even getting up to what we expect. But for the food issue, some argue that is there an issue of availability or pricing, or it seems to be both?
It's a combination of all of those. You know, we really do not have enough food. Let us even take, for example, palm oil. I'm sure you know that the palm oil we produce in Nigeria is only about 30% of the need for palm oil in Nigeria. So in other words, for us to have enough palm oil that go around the industries, the factories, and for local consumption, we just have to import palm oil to be able to meet the local demand of palm oil. That is just one example. And the quantity of rice produced today in this country cannot go around the country, especially within this festive period, and you know the kind of demand that we have this period. So the only way to bridge this gap is also to allow the borders to be open, to import more rice, even though some people may argue that it may affect the local producers of rice. No, this is just a thing that a decision we have to take to be able to bridge that gap that's existing and not to meet the local demand of this. And so it is same for most of the items. If you speak to people who are from Benue State, the major suppliers of yam, they will tell you that most of the markets that used to supply yams to Nigeria and even outside countries are no more existing because the farmers are no longer getting their yams into that market. So these are some of the things we're talking about. So it's a combination of the high pricing and availability of those items. Of course, for high pricing, we know the reason is because, again, what I mentioned, when demand is more than supply, the price is meant to go up. And when the roads are so difficult for people to bring out their agricultural produce, the prices of these goods are supposed to go up. When petroleum products are high there, the people that will bring their products out of the farms into the markets will charge you 3 times over. So it will affect the prices of these food items. That's why we have food inflation towering above every other inflation rate, and that is just one of the reasons.
We've seen different kind of schemes before now aimed at strengthening the agricultural sector. The last was the Anchor Borrower scheme that many would say didn't really go well. But do you think that moving forward, schemes like this could still come? How can they be properly monitored if we have anything as such?
Yeah, we obviously monitored how that scheme went through. We saw that a lot of people who were not farmers actually started claiming Anchor Borrowers program funds and all that. And for them to pay back has become a problem because they have actually utilized them for some other things different from farming. So if we must do it, we must do it well and use the various government and financial institutions that are designated to do them so that they do due diligence on the people who are coming to claim to be farmers and then ensure that those funds are well monitored and well utilized in the areas they are meant for. There is no country that doesn't have any form of intervention on the other. But who is doing the intervention directly? CBN cannot be seen to be doing the intervention. That is why you need some other development institutions that are meant for this. There is Agricultural Bank. There are other institutions that are actually meant for this intervention program. So we need to use them because that's actually why they were created in the first place. Otherwise, I think the program was a good program, just that the implementation was faulty.
All right. Before I let you go, Doc, from figures, we see that we had a trade surplus of about 5.8 trillion naira for the third quarter. We've seen revamping of Port Harcourt refineries, steady appreciation of the naira. It's about 1,600 or something at the moment, fluctuating. Reserves is at about 40 billion US dollars. So some say that these are positives for this administration. How does that come to you?
I agree also that these are positive indicators. When you continue to grow your external reserve, even though marginally, it is a positive sign. But the question again is, what grew the external reserve? Was it as a result of funds borrowed or as a result of growth in export proceeds? So these are the things that will determine whether we're indeed growing or not. But if it is just because we borrowed some money from external sources and the external reserve grew, then we just have to grow some other areas that will make us have self-sustenance. For our trade surplus, again, where is the trade surplus coming from? Most of it is also coming from the trade with oil. By the time we can really record the trade surplus that will affect us positively is when other sectors of the economy are beginning to export and register those kinds of trade surplus in non-oil exports. So when we have that happening, we know we are indeed growing the economy. Otherwise, we can actually sustain this trade surplus in the oil and gas. But I tell you, we need to do far more in gas because we have excess supply of excess deposit of gas. We need to make more revenue from it in order for us to augment for what we are making from other sectors.
Well, it's capital intensive. That's the issue with gas. Let's wrap up with that topic of discourse. It's capital intensive.
When you see any investment that is capital intensive, all you do is just to have a PPP arrangement. There are many investors all over the world, many countries all over the world that want to invest in that sector. So get into an agreement with them and let them come with their own funds. They have cheap funds, they can invest in it. The country, Nigeria, does not have to put their own investment down, bring in investors into the sector and give them an enabling environment to be able to operate very well. And then you get your own taxes from there, you get your own revenue based on the agreements and MOUs you're going to be signing. So encourage people to come and invest in your gas sector. Then your own is to relax to enjoy the revenue. That's the way it works.
All right, I must thank you, Dr. Chijioke Ikechukwu. Interesting conversation with you. Do enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much. Managing Director, CEO, Dignity Finance and Investment Limited.
Thank you very much.